seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Yes, yes, beautiful. Yes, well, welcome to All Souls. I want to say welcome home to All Souls, everybody. Welcome to All Souls, where we love beyond belief. Here at The Point, agnostics, atheists, humanists, and all kinds of seekers gather in community. No matter what you believe or don't believe or where you come from, you are welcome here and you are loved. I'm Assistant Minister Randy Lewis, and I'm joined on the chancel today by our Senior Minister, Reverend Marlin Lavanhar. Get your name out my mouth. Together with Pastor David Smith and Matt Davis and our special guest musician, Jordan Hale, on bass, we all welcome you to this morning's service. And welcome to our online viewers and everywhere, members watching from all over the world. We're so glad you decided to join us today. Please consider staying for our coffee hour conversations immediately after the service. Now, if you're a first-time guest with us today or new to All Souls, our ushers are coming forward. We have a gift for you. And you could raise your hands right now. We'll give you that gift. Any hands? See your hands? Over here. Please consider going to the Solon Library immediately after the service. One of our Welcoming Souls team would like to greet you, and we have some light refreshments for you as well. It's a chance to get to know you and to let you know about the great things that are happening in this community. Now at this time, if you would join me in our covenant that's printed in your order of services. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm going to have a little help lighting the chalice this morning. We have a new minister joining our team this year. Her name is, yes, we're excited. She's not here though, but you can still applaud. We're going to tell her that you applauded. She's we're trading time with her. She's going to be half-time because she's also a professor at the theological school in Chicago, Meadville Lombard Theological School. She teaches history and environment studies and all kinds of stuff. She's brilliant. You're going to love her. If you were here last Sunday, you heard her share a message. Her name is Dr. Nicole Kirk, and she's going to light our chalice virtually because she's in Chicago this morning. So if we can bring up.
Hello, All Souls, here and everywhere. I am excited to be joining you, and this is going to be a great year. As we begin our new year together, let us hold with one another the many questions we carry. What is going to happen tomorrow? How will we live between heartbreak and joy? Today, as we light our chalice, let love be the answer. Let love bring us home.
So usually at this time, Shannon Boston, our director of religious exploration for our children, is up here and tells a story to our young people before they leave to go to the classes and the other programming. But this morning she's busy with everything that's going on. It's such an exciting day. It's homecoming, so I welcome everybody home. And I have a little story that comes from the book Traveling Mercies, from the author Anne Lamott. If you know her, she's fantastic. She tells a story at that time about her 8-year-old son, whose name was Sam, who one day gets turned around when he's walking home from his friend's house. And he eventually realizes that he's lost. He can't find his way. He's like, I don't recognize any of these houses. He's starting to get a little bit worried. This never happened before. Now he doesn't know where he is. And he's walking. And fortunately, up drives a police officer who sees him looking confused. And he says, hey, can I help you? And he explained to the police officer, yeah, I was just walking over from my friend's house. I got lost. I don't know where. And where I am. And the officer said, well, what's your address? Well, he forgot his address. There's the first lesson. And so remember your address. So he couldn't find his address. Well, the officer said, well, I'll just drive you. You must be nearby. So I'll just drive you around until we can find your house or something, a house that you recognize. And so they drove around for quite a while. They couldn't seem to find his house. He didn't recognize any of the homes. He was getting a little bit worried. But then he saw the steeple of his church. And he said, you can let me out now. He said, this is my church, and I always know my way home from here. And I hope that no matter how old we are, what age we are in, and when we get to those moments where we feel like we're struggling to find our way, that we can come to this place, and that we can always find our way home from here, and that this is like another home for us, a place where when we see this place, we go, yes, I know this place. I know these people. They know me. And we gave everybody a little heart when you came in this morning, and that's to represent this idea that love brings us home. Love keeps us here. Love is the spirit of this place. And so I hope you'll take that heart with you this year and keep it and be reminded that you are loved here. And this is always a place that you can come when you feel lost, afraid, or don't know which direction to go. And hopefully, we believe here you'll find your way. So with that, I would invite the children and youth who are with us, if you'd like to. Oh, and there she is. The most talked about Shannon Boston is right here after all, and you can follow her and she will take you to your classroom. All right, well, you can follow her then.
Today we honor the mystery and complexity of life. We acknowledge that life is rarely static and that change is the only permanent thing that we are presented with. but we feel thankful that we have this courageous community, this healing community to come home to. Thankful that we don't have to walk alone during our times of difficulty and darkness. We have each other. Today, I offer condolences to James R. Rod Knowlton and Amanda Schenkel Knowlton and family on the loss of Rod's father, James Alden Knowlton, who died at the age of 84 on September 2nd. We hold space today for Susie Ewing, recovering from surgery. And we're lifting up and holding space for Rick Fordner, who's not feeling well today. And we hold space for all the families who've lost loved ones and for all those impacted by the tragic and senseless gun violence at the Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia. Let us hold each other in our thoughts and intentions as we enter into a brief moment of silence.
I'm so glad to say that we're here together. This is my home, and there ain't nothing in the world that's better. I can see it clear. Love brings us here, back where we belong. Together we can do no wrong. Together's where we all belong. You're my home, my home. I can feel the warmth deep down in my bones when I walk through that open door. I know that I am home. I can feel it drawing near. Love brings us here, back where we belong. Together
Beautiful. Yes, thank you. Jordan Hale, Matthew Edwards, David Smith, Thomas Farnan Williams. Thank you to choir. It's great to have you back after summer break. Welcome back. Thank you. The love. Yes, it's all about love. In the end, it's all about love. My friend, I want to tell you this story about my friend, good friend, Kay Montgomery. She wrote about, she says, I invented Unitarian Universalism all by myself. She says, I know numerous others who have done this as well. I did it, she says, on buses traveling up and down Livernois Avenue in Detroit. You know Livernois Avenue, Pastor David? All right, I thought you might. From Detroit over here. She was 17 years old, a working class Irish Catholic girl living with her parents and attending a Jesuit college about 10 miles away. She says, the Jesuits would have been astonished, I suppose, to learn that this was what they had fashioned. A teenager trying to figure out what religion was and could be, and whether it was even possible to be both religious and honest, much less an actual member of an actual church. I thought not, she said. Each day that bus went within half a mile or so of a Unitarian congregation. But I didn't know that, she says, and even if I had, it wouldn't have meant a thing to me. A decade later, in another city, long after I left religion, she says, I stumbled on a passage in a book that described Unitarian Universalism. I was astonished. This thing I had invented actually existed. A richer version than mine. A version with a religious, intellectual, and cultural tradition I could not have imagined. But still, identifiably mine. And then there was the experience that so many of us have of coming home, of showing up and finding comfort and challenge and people who insisted that I grow, of finding ideas that thrilled and scared me because of what they demanded of me, of finding a community of scrappy, smart, satisfying people who care passionately about each other and the community they are a part of, and about leaving the planet a better place. People who believe that they need one another for all kinds of personal and social reasons and for the work of making justice. We come from so many places. Parents who want their children to be raised with good morals and ethics and community, but not indoctrinated. Community activists who want to have a spiritual grounding for their work. People who left a traditional religion because they grew uncomfortable with its message. Those with generations of Unitarian or Universalist heritage. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people who want a church where they feel welcome and where their partnerships will be blessed. Biracial families, couples with different faiths who joined because they wanted to be married by a clergy person who would respect both of their traditions, and then after that they decided to stay. Many paths people travel in order to come home to a community like this one. Now, I want to take us for a moment to ancient Greece, to where they had a place that they called the agora. Now, agora is translated as gathering place. The agora would attract people from all walks of life, political figures, poets, philosophers, and common folks, subsets of people who would not otherwise find themselves interacting with one another and getting to know each other. The ancient agora of Athens is probably the best known example. It was a place to hang out, where you could see performers and listen to famous philosophers, and you could participate in the democracy. Over the past decade or so, there's been a lot of talk in our country about having a third place in your life. Our first place is our home. Our second place is usually our work or maybe school. But then the third place is a place where we choose to be. It offers opportunities to relax and to learn and to explore and to be yourself in public, to meet new people and to see familiar faces. It should be a place that allows you to broaden your interactions with others who are like you and who are different from you. To be creative, a place where you feel welcome. Having a third place, they say, enlarges and enhances people's lives, and it also impacts our well-being. I was reading a book this week that's called Belong, Find Your People, Create Community, and Live a More Connected Life. The author, Radha Agrawal, shares statistics that come from the American Sociological Review, and it shows that having weak social ties is as harmful to your health as being an alcoholic, and twice as harmful as obesity. I had to read it twice because I didn't believe it. It says that poor social ties are as harmful to your health as being an alcoholic, and twice as harmful as obesity. And I think that means that I can eat twice as many desserts if I come here on Sunday. I'm not sure if I got all the statistics right, but I think it's something like that. I think it means something like that. But no, one of the most important qualities of a third place is that it's a place you have no obligation to be there. You have chosen this place to be a part of your life. You can come and you can go as you please. And for many of us, All Souls is our third place. It's a place where we can relax, where we can have fun, where we can learn and we can love and we can explore and we can be ourselves. It's crazy that, especially in Oklahoma, for those of us who live here in Oklahoma, sometimes we can't even be ourselves at work. Sometimes we can't even be ourselves at home. But hopefully here we can bring all of ourselves and be loved for who we are, for what we believe or don't believe, and be at home among other people. A place for cultural exchange with people who are different from us and live different lives and have had different experiences, opportunities to give back, a place that we can build our resilience and our courage and can be engaged in all kinds of issues and activities. I want to tell you a story about a man named David Cronin who used to own a bookstore, and it was called Changing Times. And he tells a story that I really like because it connects me to something that I experienced. He tells this story about a time when a woman came into his store with a small child, and she asked, "Do you carry resin incense?" He said, "Yes, I do." And he began to walk her over to the incense. And when they got there, she picked up a small bag of amber resin incense, and she held it to her nose, and she took in a long, deep smell with her eyes closed. And after a moment, she looked at him with a huge smile and joyous eyes. And she lovingly spoke about growing up in Morocco and how her mother would take her to the market. And there'd be rows and rows of small, colorful stalls, many of which would burn this amber resin incense. And now she liked to burn it whenever her heart was heavy and when she was missing her homeland. He says, "For a moment, I could feel her joy. And it felt like I was transported back with her to the marketplace of her childhood. It was as if we were walking together, children holding hands among the stalls." Sometimes it's in coming together, joining our hearts and our stories over the things that we've found, the things that we've lost, the things that we've done, that draw out the best of our humanness. Now, I've experienced this right here at All Souls many times, in a classroom or during the check-in and before a committee meeting or out in our foyer or in Emerson Hall after a service, that when somebody says something, tells some story about their life or some memory that's come up for them, and I'm transported back to my childhood or to some other period in my life that I'm reminded of. I love it when these stories come from a life that's so different from my own, and I get to experience the world through someone else's childhood or someone else's life that I could have never imagined, and it seems so exotic or amazing to me. Now, I hear it all the time after a service or when we're introducing ourselves in a Wednesday classroom or something like that. Someone says, "You were raised Mormon? I was too." Or someone says, "You were made to go to church 5 times a week when you grew up? So was I." Or someone said, "Wait, you went back and forth between your Jewish relatives and your Christian relatives, and you never quite felt like you fit in either place?" Or, "You were kicked out of Sunday school too? So was I." I don't care how old I get, that when I have that feeling of being transported back to some other point in my life, like a child holding hands with another child, and we're just walking through the world together again and in a new way, it's magical. Those shared moments, they take me back, they connect parts of my life from back when to the present moment, and I feel somehow more alive. And it helps me make sense of my life now. That's why I think that having a third place in our life brings out the best in our humanness and makes life so much richer. Now, in some cultures, the barber shop or the beauty salon is like the third place. Or when I was in middle school, we used to have a youth center that we would go to after school. For some, it's the library. For others, it's the bowling alley or a coffee shop. But many of these places are commercial establishments where there's a corporate profit incentive and you have to buy something in order to be included. Like a bookstore, or a coffee shop, or a diner, or a local bar. For many teenagers these days, it's the mall. A rather impersonal place with fluorescent lights and wandering through shops of things they can't even afford. Because we're all hungry for connection. Social media feels like a third place. But of course, there are the trolls and the negative comments and the false information. And it reminds me of the first cartoon that some of you know I like to draw cartoons in my spare time. And the first cartoon that I had published in the Tulsa World was a cartoon. It was a woman's funeral. And the pastor's up in front of an almost empty, fully empty church. And he's saying, "Mary had 3,000 friends on Facebook." Now, that said, one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that we have found many more meaningful ways to be connected online and with people from all over the country and all over the world. All Souls, in fact, has 200 everywhere members who come to us from across North America and places like China, Holland, Uganda, and Italy. If you have ever joined us on Facebook, maybe you're on Facebook right now, you probably were greeted by Giacomo Tesaro, who is here every Sunday on Facebook with us, greeting people, welcoming people, and he does that from Rome, Italy. If you're on Zoom, if you've been on Zoom or on Zoom now, you may have been chatting with Leon from Uganda, or Jeannie from Minnesota, or Rebecca from Chicago. David's pointing. Someone's on there right now. He's watching. Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. It's beautiful here in Tulsa today. So we have people from far and wide who serve on our board of trustees that are helping us with plan our gala fundraiser for later in November and lighting our chalice. We go to classes together. We expand our minds together. We celebrate and mourn major life events together. We laugh, we cry, we worship, we make meaning. Heck, we got through the pandemic together. And we are going to get through this election together. For those of us who are in Tulsa, we also have people who will bring us a meal when we end up in the hospital or get out of the hospital, or when someone we love dies, they'll come and be with us, make sure that we're not alone. They'll help us to raise our children, to grow old with grace, to stay young with engagement, help us die with dignity and comfort and people around us. I'm reminded of something that I read some years ago from the great anthropologist Margaret Mead. She was asked by a student, what is the earliest sign of civilization in a culture? The student expected Mead would talk about something like fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones. But no, Mead said that the first sign of civilization in an ancient culture was a femur, a thigh bone, that had been broken and then healed. Mead explained that in the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. That's it. You can no longer run from danger. You can't get to the river to drink or hunt for food. You are meat for prowling beasts. No animal survives a broken leg long enough for the bone to heal. A broken femur that is healed is evidence that someone has taken time to stay with the one who fell, has bound up the wound, has carried the person to safety, and has tended the person through recovery. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. That's what Mead explained. Now, in our fast-paced, always changing, often divided world, I'm so thankful to have a community like this as a third place. Too many people are trying to get through these times that we're living in without an authentic community of fellow travelers. I hope you don't take this place for granted. In this highly conflicted election year, in this era of banning books and Bibles in schools, as we publicly debate topics like gender and race and inclusion, it's a blessing to have a whole bunch of real people who care. People who are different from ourselves and people who are just like us. I can't imagine trying to get through all this without it. And even if I could, I wouldn't want to. My friend Kay, who I mentioned earlier, who invented Unitarian Universalism on her own, she went on to share that she had an experience that changed her feelings about inviting others to come with her to her congregation, her community. She said, when my brother was dying, the sibling that I had always been the closest to, for months I spent as many weekends as I could traveling from Boston, where I lived, to Detroit, where he lived. Those weeks were fraught with pain and grief, but also with unexpected moments of something that felt like joy. John and I and the rest of our family cried and we laughed together. And then odd and amazing things happened. Because in the midst of this tragedy, this watching a marathon runner curled on his bed like a child, there was space only for honesty. Odd and amazing things happened, but none more odd and amazing than this. Johnny experienced a deathbed conversion. My Roman Catholic brother became a Unitarian Universalist. She writes, he gathered us, his wife, his grown son, and me, and asked that a friend of mine, Teresa Cooley, who was then the minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Detroit, the very church that she had passed on the bus years earlier, and he asked her to be with her, to be with him during the last weeks of his life. And the memorial service after he died was held in that congregation. And it was attended by hundreds of people. And Kay says, I smiled, honored to have witnessed this final act of integrity, and pleased to know that he and I were more alike than we had guessed. I was also sad that his life, which was so rich in so many ways, had not been as spiritually satisfying as his death. And I was conscious that the one person who might have changed that was me. I had talked about my community of course, but the one thing that I hadn't done, I hadn't even thought of doing, was urge him to join me on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night. This is what I've learned, she said. For each time I don't reach out to someone who might find meaning and value in this tradition, for each time I hesitate to be hospitable out of shyness or solipsism, I may be leaving someone's life poorer than it might have been. If there's a teenager on a bus somewhere, and there is, I'd like to offer her the good news of all souls, of the point of Unitarian Universalism. I realize that most of us are hesitant to even mention that we go to a church. Right? Most of us don't even, let alone, want to invite somebody. And that's because it's so much that happens out there that's been so negative with regard to people proselytizing and trying to draw people, hey, come to my church, come to my church. And you're like, you know what, just leave me alone. So it's like, well, I'm not going to go out there and start telling people, hey, come with me to All Souls. It's a really cool place, So many of us don't, but an invitation here can add so much to the life of someone who shares our sensibilities. Doesn't have to be annoying. It doesn't have to be constant. It can just be an invitation. Hey, I think you'd enjoy this. Come on along. Think about how much it's added to your life. Let's admit it, this is a very different kind of community. This is a gathering place for love and for courage and for connection. It's a third place unlike any other place anywhere in the world. And we have it right here. Let's not hide it under a bushel, as they say. I hope that you'll go out and share the love of this place, that you'll feel the love of this place when you're here, or by taking that little heart that we gave away this morning with you to remind you of the love. You're loved here. You matter here. It's so great when you show up, not just for you, but when you show up for the other people for whom you are a great delight. I love you. Welcome home. Thank you. So in just a minute, we're going to take up an offering for our Partners in Education program, which helps in 3 different schools: John Hope Franklin School, Unity School, and Monroe Demonstration School. You can also volunteer if you want to be involved as a reading buddy, or just to go down. They do job fairs and other things. They'd love, these young people are so enriched when we go down and engage with them and become a part of their lives. But today is an opportunity to give a little bit to support these young people. It goes to the teachers so that they can help get supplies for their students and things that are in short supply in our school. So we give away our offering every week here at All Souls to others. And we can do that because our members pledge to support the congregation, to keep the lights on and the people here. So thank you for your pledges, those who pledge. And you can put your pledge into the offering as it goes around, but just make sure you mark clearly on an envelope or on your check that it's for the church. Everything else is for the offering. You can put offering. We just want to make sure everybody's money goes where they want it to go this morning. I want to, hopefully you have this. It's got a bunch of announcements, great stuff happening. This is how you can be involved. I particularly want to draw your attention to the Conscious Inclusion Program. This is going to be your last chance to sign up this week. It's a major initiative of All Souls. We got 90 people already involved, but it's a chance for you to be in a small group this year and deepen your own life. It's going to support you in your relationships. It's going to support you at work, at home, and in every place in your life.
If you are a person of color and I have not reached out to you yet, don't leave this place without talking to me, all right? You're a person of color. If you identify as a person of color and I have not reached out to you yet, or an email, please connect with me before you leave.
All right.
Please.
Beautiful. Thank you, Randy. So about the Conscious Inclusion Program. Okay. And so there's other stuff. Next week, Barbara Prose is going to be back, our minister of 13 years. She's going to be here. Yes, I know. It's super exciting. And she'll be here Saturday for our Justice Revival. And our Justice Revival is going to be for 4 hours on Saturday to get us all excited, those of us who are activists and doing justice work in the world. Or if you want to be, come check it out and get inspired there. Now, I just want to say one last thing, that although All Souls had previous plans to move our congregation downtown, you may remember that, the dramatic shifts that were brought on by the pandemic, they made us realize that we were wise to stay here at this time, in this place. And well, you know, in many ways, I think a lot of us feel there truly is no place like home. This has been the home of All Souls for 67 years. And we have been reimagining ways that we can make this current home even more functional and feasible and strengthen it for the future, including some beautiful outdoor spaces and some other things to help facilitate community here. So you're going to be hearing more about this coming year, and I want you to be looking out for, we're going to have like something like a No Place Like Home campaign to raise some money to really shore up this congregation and expand it a little bit and make it even more a place for all generations. And so keep your eyes open for that. Also, you'll see there's going to be a little survey asking you for some information about what you love about All Souls, what you dream about for All Souls. So please be looking for that in the coming weeks and fill that out. That'll really support us. But right now, let us receive this morning's offering.
Jordan Hill, everybody. Edwards.
Hey, all right, Jordan Hale, Matt Edwards, David Smith. Awesome, you guys. And thank you to our ASL interpreter. Thank you. Love it. Hey, you know that we're going to have a party on the lawn after this. We've got in Emerson Hall. We've got fun for the kids and all ages. We got get a cookie and a hot dog, and I think we got vegan dogs and vegetarian. We got everything. So we want everybody to feel welcome and everybody to feel at home. If you have children 5th grade and younger, we're instead of just releasing, and they normally come back and join us right now, but we're keeping them in the chapel. We'll just ask you to go down that hallway and pick them up. Just with everything going on, we don't want anyone getting lost like in the story this morning. So just pick up your children down in the chapel. And what a beautiful day. What a great start to a new year. I'm really excited. This is going to be a phenomenal year, despite the election and all the craziness, or because of the election, maybe. Yes, who knows? All right. But it is going to be a fabulous year here in this place. I'm glad you're a part of it. As you go forth, may your eyes see beauty, may your lips speak truth, may your heart know love, and may your hands do the good works of this world all the days of your life. And until we meet again, go and be loved and be loving.